Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today, and we're going to be previewing the Houston Texans versus Dallas Cowboys game tomorrow. The Houston Texans Cowboys play. The Houston Texans and Cowboys play at 12 o'clock, and the Texas rivalry game should be a fun one, even if it is not going to be a close one. Hate to say. It's always fun to see the Texans Cowboys play with no matter what the score is. But the Texans, I hate to say it, but could be a struggle tomorrow. I thought it was going to be a struggle tomorrow even before I looked at the injury report. Texans are without their two best wide receivers, Nico Collins and Brandon Cooks, and they're arguably out with their two best defensive players. No Stingley Jr., no Jonathan Grenard. Well, no, Jonathan Grenard has been on IR for a while, but their two best defensive players are out, and their two best wide receivers are out. So, I already thought this was going to be a struggling game for the Texans anyways, and it just got worse. There's some other couple of injuries for the Texans in this one. Justin McCray's out, and some guys have been on IR. I'm sure there'll be some inactives tomorrow. I think Rex Burkhead might be active after missing last week's game. For the Cowboys, I haven't really looked at their injury report, but I do know that James Washington, who's been out who hasn't played at all this year, will be making his season debut tomorrow for the Cowboys. I hate to say I'm excited to see somebody on the Cowboys, but I am really excited to see James Washington play tomorrow. He's a guy that I always loved in Pittsburgh. I'm not going to say I like the Steelers, but I've always been entertained by watching the Steelers. They're a fun team to watch past the years, and he was a guy that was always doing good for the Steelers. So I was excited for him when he signed with the Cowboys, and it sucked when I heard that he was going to miss a lot of time, and so I'm just glad he's going to be back and healthy for himself and for the Cowboys. But moving on, I'll look at the injury report tomorrow for the Cowboys. I'll go over that in my pregame. What do the Texans need to do in this one? It's something that we've been going over in a lot of these games, and it feels like a drill now. They need to stop the run and play good, have good offense against a good defense. We've been talking about this for a while. There's been a lot of running backs we've gone up against. We dealt with it with Nick Chubb last week. We've dealt with it with Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, and now tomorrow we go up against not only just Tony Pollard, but also Ezekiel Elliott. It's going to be a hard game for the Houston Texans. The only bright spot I see for this game for the Texans is I don't see a decent. I think it could be a hard. This is such a hard game for Davis Mills to be put back in because he's playing such a good defense. Because if the Texans end up having 3 turnovers in this game, it looks like he's done bad because the problem was how much turnovers he was having. But, honestly, the Texans are playing against the best defense in the NFL tomorrow. And to be honest with you guys, I think, and when I say this, don't think that I think that the Texans have a shot of winning this game. And don't think I think that the way Davis Mills plays can keep it close. But I think that Davis Mills, he has a chip on his shoulder. I think that Davis Mills will actually have a decent game tomorrow. Davis Mills was benched and sat on the sidelines for 2 games. Not something he was used to. I mean, he sat a little bit when Tyrod Taylor was in there last year in his rookie season, but that was not something he was used to this year. He was the starter for most of the season until Kyle Allen came in, so I think that's kind of a chip on his shoulder. I think Davis Mills comes into Dallas and does some decent things. It's not enough for the win. The Texans need a lot of things to happen. Their defense needs to do good. They need to stop the run. Davis Mills needs to have a good game, and that's hard to have a good game when you're out without your 2 best wide receivers. Dameon Pierce needs to have a good game. Unless Dameon Pierce has about 150 rushing yards and about 40 receiving yards, I don't see this being a close one. So a summary for the Houston Texans, keys of the game. You got to stop the run. Davis Mills has to move the ball. You got to get Dameon Pierce going. I was impressed with him last week against the Browns. I don't think he did enough. I think Lovie Smith made some bad play calls. There were some times where they should have gave the ball to Pierce, but instead they threw the ball, which is not his fault, which is not Dameon Pierce's fault. That is the coach's fault. And so that's what you just need to do to make this to be a little bit competitive. You need to get the run involved. You need to get Dameon Pierce going. You need to stop the Cowboys' run. You need to. It's going to be very impossible for the Texans to do some good things tomorrow. But I will say I do think Davis Mills will have himself a decent game. I don't know what that decent game would into details for him, but I just think that, I'm going to go back to the Chargers game. Might have been week 5 for the Texans or week 4, whenever we played the Chargers. The Chargers got off to a 24-0 or a 21-0 start, whatever they started out to, and they were just killing us. And Lovie Smith started to work out. He put Kyle Allen. He didn't put Kyle Allen in the game, but Kyle Allen got up, started throwing the ball a little bit. Davis Mills noticed it, and it's not like the Texans came back and won, but all of a sudden Davis Mills was making good plays, throwing good passes, and actually was very close to getting the Texans back the lead. As they brought it all the way down. It was 24-0, brought it all the way down to make it 24-21. So, or whatever it was, they brought it all the way down to they brought it all the way down 20. I think it was 27-7, and Davis Mills just started going crazy. And then Davis Mills brought the game, had a chance to give the Texans the lead, and they brought it to a 3-point game, 27-24. So I think Davis Mills coming back after being benched for 2 games, I think he has a decent game for the Texans, but ultimately not enough. And finally, for my prediction, I got the Cowboys beating us 20-39, and would ultimately be one of our best offensive performances of the season. Our highest, this is crazy. I believe our highest point scored this season is 24. Which I don't see us breaking tomorrow, but I think to be honest with you guys, again, I think that, and I'm not gonna say my prediction is gonna fall through, but I think that if the Texans were to score 20 points against the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow, I don't care how much you lose by. If you lose by 3, if you lose by 30, if you lose by 20, I count that as an accomplishment if you score 20 points against the Cowboys. For a team who has not scored more than 27 points this season to go up against the best defense in the NFL and put up 20 points, I think that would be a great accomplishment for the Houston Texans. Do I see it happening? Probably not. Realistically, probably the Texans score around 17. That's what they usually put up a game. But I'm gonna go with the lucky number. I say 20 for the Texans tomorrow. If you're playing behind in the second half, the Cowboys start to put in their second strings. Could be a little bit easier to score the football. So that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think and your predictions for the Texans game tomorrow. That's it for the preview. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out. Go Texans.